I'm at a point where I almost want to file for a name change because Kevo ain't what he used to be. We originally picked this car up in October 2021 off the Hoff. He actually delivered it to us when we had a Christmas party. And he has undergone a massive transformation. This car is still a black VR Commodore, but it is completely different from what it once ever was. And I'm very proud of how this has turned out. We've had heaps of help from some awesome companies and some awesome humans that have helped us along the way to build this car to what it is now, and which it's pretty well, I won't say complete because no project car is ever complete, but we're now ready to hit the dyno with Kai at Night Family Motorsport. Since we last saw the car, we had some issues on the first start. There was some melted transbrake wiring and a few other issues to fix. I have removed the wiring just in case, and I ran separate 6mm twin just from a different grommet. So that's sorted. I have sorted the nitrous solenoids. I have got a purge port running to the aerial out on the guard here, which I think is going to be pretty cool. I can't wait to hit that purge button. I have sorted the shock travel sensors in the front, the wheel speed sensor in the front, the laser ride height sensor also wasn't working, which was my stuff up. It comes with a terminated cable from Haltech. I actually de-pinned the DT connector and ran it through a grommet, and in that process I actually broke a wire, my bad. So that's been sorted now. We have got the CO2 solenoid sorted with lines running to that. We've got a Raceworks turbo beanie covering up the Garrett G45. I've done a couple of heat cycles, drained the oil, cut the filter open. Filter is hunky-dory. I've now drained the water out because there's no leaks. We've now got coolant in the system. We've slapped on a bumper bar, bolted on some mismatched marketplace guards. I've even got some fresh gas struts on the bonnet. We've got interior parts in the back, door cards, parcel shelf, the boot. We've even got boot struts in the back. Also removed the wing just because it's more of a looks thing. It doesn't really serve a purpose, I don't think. I'm not an aerodynamics engineer guy, but as far as I'm aware, it needs to have like a wing or a dam or air dam in the back of it. So if I need to have a wing in the future, I will definitely maybe look at fitting that or fixing that one. What I actually want to do is get a S-Pack boot lip, which Granger is hooking me up thanks to his uncle. I think it's Repaglass, so keen on getting one of those fitted to the boot. I fitted up some brand new tail lights and also installed some LED globes, which I got from Super Cheap Auto. The whole car now has LED globes, headlights, tail lights, number plate lights, everything is LED. And then the car will be ready to be painted at a future date. Yes, it's a black Commodore. I do love the black, but if you've ever been to Willowbank in summertime, I don't want to be sitting in the staging lanes in a black car. I mean, I might keep the black, but for now, I'm keen to change the color up. And that brings me to the comment section where you guys can decide. Well, not the comment section, actually, we're going to do a merch sale, and whatever shirt sells the most is what color I'll paint the car. We've had some designs made up of Kevo in different colors. I'm a two-tone fan, so if hopefully you all buy the two-tone shirt so I can paint it that color. What I'm thinking is the Sherbrooke green and then a gray lower, but there's also black and the gray, Atlas gray. The world is your oyster, and you guys can decide. Whatever shirt sells the most at theskidfactory.com is what color I'll paint this car. They're a very good price. They're printed by our mates at Right Lane Print Media, and they're shipped to your door anywhere in the world. And every shirt sale goes back into supporting the Skid Factory, me keeping the lights on in the shed, powering the aircon because it's now summer and it is swimming outside, and also paying the fuel bill for Kevo. So grab yourself a Kevo shirt. But for now, we're going to reverse this bad boy out, load it on the trailer, and go and see Kai at Night Family Motorsport, get this thing on the dyno, and see what problems, see what I've f***ed up and what needs to get fixed. Coming to you live from Night Family Motorsport, where it's a cool 32 degrees Celsius and 60% humidity. Perfect day to dyno your car. We're live on set with the man, Kai. How you doing, brother?
Not too bad, it's pretty hot in here, not gonna lie.
Yeah, nice.
I've got a sweat on.
Yeah. Kevo!
Yeah.
The day has come.
The day has come. We'll see what she wants to do.
Sweet. We've got a full tank of E85. We have just changed nitrous jets because the jet that I put in was
An 18.
I don't know. I'm not a nitrous guy. I got no idea. But Kai had some laying around, so hopefully that is the right size.
Yeah, it's about 100 shots, so we'll test that out later. We'll go through. We've got to run the motor in. We've got to check to make sure all the stuff works. Make sure the diff and the gearbox and the engine, the temps and the voltages and everything does what it's supposed to do is the first thing.
Yep.
We'll throw some hits on it at wastegate spring pressure, which Willie tells me is about 7 pounds.
Yep.
We'll probably run it out to 7 or 7,500 RPM for starters, and then we'll probably do an oil change on it.
Yep.
And then if we get that far and we haven't found anything that concerns us, then we'll probably start turning the boost controller on and see what it wants to do.
And then a full nitrous pass.
We'll spray it in there at some point.
I don't even care about nitrous. All I care about is purging it from the aerial port.
Post in the comments below of how many purges until the cap gets obliviated to nothing.
That's gonna explode. It's gonna be non-existent.
This little guy here is not long for this world.
Cool spot for it though, eh? Sweet. Alright, let's hit it then. Let's do it. Not the best noise you want to hear first thing on the dyno. I think it's from the tail shaft. I went for a quick run around the block, everything was fine, but we've since lowered the car to be slam-tastic, and I think it's got way too much pinion angle. We're going to make a change to see if it makes a difference anyway. It goes away under load. It's only when the car is like kind of free spinning, but still not a cool noise to hear. So want to make a change now, see if it makes a difference.
That's a convenient location, Westy.
Oh yeah, so convenient, bro.
The magic number was 12 degrees down, way too much. My bad, I should have checked it, but in the heat of getting everything done, I wanted the car to look cool, being lowered. Now we have about 2.5 down, so that should be
safe to operate the car, let's put it that way.
Fun rolling around on the ground in 32 degrees heat. What's the additional charge for getting your hands dirty?
Someone's going to the bottle shop. I concur.
Loud noises. Add that to the pre-dyno checklist of a fresh build. Check the pinion angle. 12 degrees is too much. eventful dyno days, and I'm stoked to have mates like Westy, who is busy helping me out. So we had crankcase pressure sensor readings of 3 pound on like wastegate pressure, which is not a good thing. The catch can setup is a bit weird. I'm sure you've seen it. It kind of goes to one catch can, goes to another catch can, then all the way to the back. The crankcase pressure sensor is mounted on that secondary catch can, and it was reading 3 pound when we had it fully disconnected. So that is probably a me thing. I think I might have.
It's definitely at this point we'd say it's more like wiring, because yes, obviously for clarity is that we had air flowing into that system and it was showing 3 psi. I said to Woody, hey, we're showing 3 psi of crankcase pressure, we may have an issue here. Then we went through, the first thing was Woody pulled the line that goes to the back of the car off. We noticed no change at all from the next pull. So then I'm like, okay, just pull the lines completely off it. So we sent no crankcase pressure to it at all. So it should just say 0. It should just be not moving at all. But it is still saying the same 3.5 psi. So that now is saying, okay, there's probably some kind of wiring thing. There's voltage is fluctuating to that sensor. So
sweet.
Yeah.
So that's something to investigate. The next thing to investigate, we'll pull the plugs out, check the plugs. You're happy?
Yeah,
with that?
I'm just having a quick
sweet.
look at that. We'll see if we want to do any cylinder trimming. Everything looks pretty close, but yeah.
The other thing which was concerning for me is it's making 260 horsepower. Cool, I don't care about the figure, but the figure that it should be reading, as Kai said, the fuel burn that it's producing, it should be 360-ish, you said?
360, 370, I would say, yeah. So typically, it would quickly on a combo like this, I would say, on my particular dyno, I would normally see each pound per hour burned in the engine on an auto turbo car like this. I would normally see that be about 1 horsepower measured at the hubs. Now, at the moment, we're seeing about 7.8 psi at like 7,800 RPM. It's showing 380 pounds per hour, which sounds pretty, like I've done a handful of these, and definitely that would be about what I would expect. It's only showing 260 at the hub butt, so it's like 100 horsepower's gone missing. And one of the things we have already noticed is that the diff is exceptionally difficult to turn over. Like by hand, when we pulled the wheels off the car, it's no brakes riding. Like we checked all that. You can't physically roll the axles over by hand.
It's always been a pain, and I put it down to 40 spline 9-inch. It's just a bit of a bitch, but
yeah, it's one of those things. It's not super concerning, but the other thing we just noticed is we've done 5 pulls on the dyno, just checking over everything, and we noticed that, and they were quite fast spaced apart because we're going over the car each time, making sure nothing's falling off it. And right now is the diff is too hot to touch and put your hand on. So
the screw pipe's still holding on, by the way.
The screw pipe hasn't fallen off yet. So
so the next thing to do is, if you're happy with it, we can pull the tail shaft off, and
we could go further with that if you wanted to.
I'd like to. I don't want to go.
Yeah, if you don't want to go tearing your diff center up essentially for no good reason, then because at this point in time, like Bessie was saying, it may just be a tight pinion bearing.
Yeah.
If we go through the entire day, well, so keep on going, you could completely smoke it. You know what I mean? Whereas if you go, okay, we need to address that,
Where's the warranty page? Contact for this?
I don't know, but it definitely is very, very tight, and I do think it's probably not a terrible idea just to investigate it slightly deeper, just to see what is going on there. Yeah.
Still haven't got my head around your toolbox card. Here we go. Imperial. 9/16 for tail shaft bolts. Let's do it. It's a great idea. Maybe just one side, even if.
I can't see shit out of this thing.
Really free?
And back to park. Thank you.
Like a pro.
We drain the oil with a quick squeeze. That is that the diff oil?
That's the diff oil.
Yeah, that's the diff oil, yeah. Look, a little bit of CO2 going on there. A little bit of glitter in there, nothing crazy. If there were chunks of crap in there, we were going to call it quits, but it's looking okay. Tail shaft spins free in the back of the gearbox. The diff, it is a bit tight, so I'm going to call it a later job. I would like to get as much done as possible today. These things happen. I hate cars, we all hate cars, except Kai, he loves them. So yeah, Kai's doing some CO2 things now, so checking that I've got the solenoids wired the right way. Are they wired the right way?
They're wired the right way, but it does feel like we've got a leak somewhere here.
Okay, so we've got a leak. And
now, Woody's got more work to do.
alright, sweet. I'll keep an eye out for that.
Hey Woody,
Nah.
how good's the set screws you put in the CO2 boost control solenoid?
So good.
They're so good, yeah.
So good.
You need to get those.
You bloody smart ass. Block these ports. Thanks, bro.
The executive decision has been made to also bolt on the side pipe now while everything's cold and we can make some noise. There's also a mad storm coming too, so hopefully that'll cool things down. Not that I don't give one about horsepower today. I really don't care. The main thing is to make sure everything goes well. If we go to chase a horsepower figure, maybe that's what we can do with the Hoff in the future. We'll go down and have a dyno day with the Hoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could definitely turn it right up on his. Yeah.
When the diff's not dragging and there's not oil leaking and it's not 40 degrees.
Smash it with 40 pounds and nitrous at the same time.
Sounds good. Hoff's also got nitrous refills there too, so. Sweet, let's make some noise with the side pipe.
Just gonna, I think we'll do.
Yeah, oh, it's snowing! Sick.
That's the same as last time, mate.
No, it's wastegate.
Hey?
Yeah, it's wastegate.
Yeah, it's been tearing shreds or something.
Even on the spool, this thing's down massively.
Okay.
Like it's like something is holding it back. Like even before the turbo comes on boost, where it's making 2 pounds of boost, it's probably down like 30% on what it should be. It's
Do you
like
wanna-
something is bound up in the drivetrain, which I think like it's there because
Yeah.
you can't move the wheels by hand.
Do you want to call it then or not?
Well, we could definitely see, but either way, like tuning wise, the engine's tuning fine.
Yeah.
But definitely, what its power measured by the dyno is down.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, especially when I just was thinking, I'm like, well, you guys doing this? I'm gonna just bring up some other 2Js just to have a look, like with similar
Sweet.
glide 9-inch, all the rest of it. And it's
Awesome.
like, yeah, and this thing's down big time. It's
Sweet.
like, yeah, something,
Heartbreaker.
yeah.
Grab us a ginger beer while you're in there. So
Boost rate.
there
I'm just gonna
was
bring up some logs because I just want to see what boost pressure. So we're comparing apples
Yeah.
with apples, but I'm sure it's very similar.
sweet.
Yeah.
There was a misfire in that previous run too, which was a home trigger issue. So the home is on the exhaust cam, on the PRP thingamajiggy, whatever you'd call that, with a mechanical drive. Mine, I'm a bit rattled right now. So Kai did another run. We had a quick look, couldn't find anything. I actually saw the fuel pump was moving, and what actually happened is it actually fully backed out and was grinding against the bracket. So potentially there's enough distance between the cam sensor, the bolt on the exhaust cam is tight. Maybe alloy particles flying past the sensor could have caused the trigger, or we point the finger at Woody again and say that I've wired it wrong. That's also plausible.
Didn't do it again, but
It didn't do it again, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll bolt this back up, make sure everything's tight, and then drink a ginger beer. Thank you, Tom. Yes, please. Sweet. The storms come through. Oh, these are still warm, apprentice. God damn it. Geordie got warm beers.
I got everything I could.
The storm's cooled everything down though too, so it's not swimming in here, which is nice. Thanks. Do you want one, Kai?
I would love one.
Sweet.
That should have been about 550 or something like that. Yeah. 487.
Conclusion, 600 and what was that? 690 horsepower. Again, don't care about a figure, but let's call it 700 horsepower. The more boost we put into it, the more the fuel burn is a corresponding number, says Kai. Is that right? Did I word that right? Yeah, sure I did.
Yeah.
What the plan is now is to get the car off the dyno, take it back to the shed and investigate this parasitic loss from the diff. So axle's out, turning the diff as we go. It's a bitch to move. Like, it is like, I know that it's a 40 spine spool with 275s. Like, in a straight line, you can't push it by yourself. So it's heavier than what it once was, but it still is a pretty light car. So you should be able to, one person should be able to push this thing. So
you
I'll
should
look
be able
into.
to just rest your hand on the back, put your weight on it, and on a flat level ground, it should just roll forward.
It's all that interior now, mate. It's that parcel shelf and the door cards in the back that's weighing it down.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to get it off the dyno. The car will now drive, so happy with that. At least I can take it out and test it out if I need to. The converter is very tight. I do have a spare stator, which, as far as I'm aware, is a looser stator. So I'm going to actually probably pull the gearbox out, change the stator too is another thing. And there's also a few things to also investigate with sensors. Coolant pressure sensor is reading erratically. Crankcase pressure sensor still was, what was the go with that? Is that still...
So, yeah, it's definitely still sort of moving around a
with
touch.
your sensor plugged in?
Yeah.
So that's a my wiring thing. So I'll look at that, look at some 5-volt stuff. I'll potentially have done the wrong thing, maybe.
It's reading really low, like it's possibly... I wouldn't be surprised if there's a dodgy crimp in that connector or something like that, yeah.
A dodgy crimp in it. Oh, real?
Possibly.
Yeah, woody crimps.
Maybe.
Sweet. So we're going to get it off the dyno, back to the shed. It may or may not be a part of this episode. Actually, yeah, let's do it tomorrow. We'll suss out the diff, then we'll wrap it up. Sweet. Cheers.
Alright.
Time for an ad break. Right now. Post-dyno damage report. When we changed the pinion angle, we've pushed the diff back, which actually made the shock travel sensor, the diff hit the shock travel sensor. Luckily, I used the special Haltech plastic bolts, which are a sacrificial bolt, and it just snapped it off. So that means that this is now, that's what it's for, rather than pulling the sensor or bending the sensor. I'm glad that I used that. The diff, it is like, it's like the handbrake's on. It is so hard to turn over, and there is a problem there. It's not the handbrake because the rotors were stone cold on the dyno, so if it was dragging, it would have produced a lot of heat. The pinion carrier was like hot to touch, like you couldn't even put your hand on it. Yes, the diff does produce heat, but after one dyno run, 2 dyno runs, it shouldn't have produced that much heat. This is also actually leaking anyway, so a good thing we're pulling it apart. The auto pan is, there's a massive leak there. I've already fixed it once. I think maybe the pan could be possibly twisted, or there's a crack somewhere. I don't know. It is there's oil everywhere. The stator, Kai actually mentioned that the converter was a bit tight, so I've got a spare stator in the converter for the converter. It's a Circle D bolt together, so I can pull it apart. I'm not actually too sure if the spare stator is a looser one though, so I'm on to Pete at Circle D to find out what actually is the spare stator. It's got an oil leak from the rear main area, which I knew about before too. The crank bolts in these are open to the crankcase, and I don't think I used enough like sealant on the crank bolts, so that is potentially why it's leaking from there, or it could be rear main. This engine was sitting for like 2 years, I think it was, on the stand, so there's, you know, who knows what it could be. There is also an oil leak from the front of the engine, but I think it's just the upper pan. Around the oil pump and like front main looks dry. It's just, you could see oil pooling on the pan. So that's a sump out, like that's a sump off, which is the engine out job. I don't really want to do that. I'll K-frame down, but I will see a couple of other issues in the dyno. The thermocouples in the exhaust manifold, a couple of them were reading way different, and they have to be set at a certain height. You just want the little nipple poking just through, so I might have to, maybe I might remove the exhaust manifold too, but today's job is to suss out why that diff is dragging. So we're going to hook in, wheels off, and start to investigate the issue. That's a good YouTube title there. Investigating why my car doesn't make power. Hot clickbait title. I am gonna. Oh yes, I can feel that. Got my mate Westy around. We pulled the Pinion carrier out, took it down to our local diff shop to get their opinion. My opinion, our opinion was that it's way too tight. They also confirmed that. There was also a few parts in the bearing where it was actually quite notchy, so they may need to be replaced. Bit disappointing, it's a fresh centre, but it is what it is. These things happen. We all hate cars. The side bearings they're fine. That is free as a bird. The guys at Sunstate said they want to have the pumpkin also, just to double check the pinion and cram wheel mesh. So that's why I've now removed this. We'll drop this back down to them. Then I think, what's next, Westy? Drop the pan.
Drop the pan off the trans.
Did auto, fix that oil leak. Right on. At least we found something, which is a good thing. Otherwise, we'll be sitting here scratching our heads as to why there was drag. So, cool. Stoked. Get it to those blokes, get it sorted. Here we go. Couple of post-dyno fixes underway. The diff center, we've taken the pumpkin out. We took everything down to Sunstate Diffs here on the coast. They are getting onto it. I think we might have to replace that bearing. I'm not too sure who originally assembled the diff. I'm sure they probably would warrant their work, but for me, being how easy it is to just get it done locally, pay the whatever it is, $400 to get it fixed. I don't know how much it's going to cost. That's a figure out of the blue. It makes it a lot easier for myself to get the car back on the road rather than sending it away and waiting weeks to hear back from whoever. So that's getting sorted. We pulled the auto pan off and I've actually ditched the gasket. The gaskets that we're using are top quality gaskets. I've got no idea why it's leaking, and my fix for that is chuck a bunch of slaz on there and glue it on. Not the right thing for a pan gasket on an auto, but I hate oil leaks, and that's the fix for now. If it's still leaking, I know that there must be a crack or there's something else we need to look into. So that's sorted. And now we're delving into the EGT sensor. Number 5 was not poking through into the port enough. So it was actually reading 100 and something degrees Celsius lower than the rest of the cylinders. Funnily enough, number 6 actually is a little bit higher too, but they're just poking through the port, which is what you want. But number 5 was a bit higher. So we're going to sort that out. But the collets, it's actually seized on the EGT sensor. So I'm just going to give it a little tweak to push it down a bit further. And oil leaks, the front main, we've just wiped a little bit of sealant on the sump to hopefully fix that. I don't want to pull the engine out or pull the sump off just yet. And the oil coming from the rear main, we may have to do a stator change in the future. The one I've got is actually tighter, so the spare one I've got. So I'm actually going to leave what's in there for now. Going to make the power that this car was originally made to make, which is 1200-ish. And then if it needs to get changed in the future, we'll look at it then. There is the high possibility that we need to spray this every single time we want to get it on the converter. That's just what happens when you put a massive turbo on your 2JZ. Although people nowadays would say a G45 isn't massive, even though it's, in my opinion, it's huge. But yeah, I don't mind. We'll just see how we go. As I said at the start of the episode, the dyno is a tool and you've got to use that tool correctly. And that's exactly what we've done with Kai. We've thrown it on. We figured out a few things and we'll get back to Kai. Maybe next time we get on the dyno might be a good opportunity to get onto the Hoff. I'll get onto you, mate. We'll try and book something in. For me, I've got a lot going on in my personal life, which I'm going to do a video on. Some of you already know about that. But Kevo will be back in full force soon. As I mentioned too, we are going to paint the car and I want you to decide what colour we're painting it. So jump onto theskidfactory.com and select your Kevo shirt. The colour of choice, whichever colour sells the most, is what colour I'll paint Kevo. It's, yeah, there's a few colours that I've chosen and I'm happy with any one of them. So whatever colours sell the most, we'll paint the car. So for now, it's in pieces, but that's just what it is. And this is why we love cars. This is why we do what we do. Before we bail out, I've got a special shout out for Chris Ashmore. Your wife Anna, daughter Ava, and the whole Lucky's crew are thinking of you, mate, and they love you so very much. That's all we've got time for this week. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the moment and drive safe. See you next time. Cheers.